Hello, Ryan Garland. I am your host of the Paradyme Shift. I cannot wait to expose the true inner depths of institutional wealth building and how to dig deep into real estate investing. Hey everybody, welcome to the Paradyme Shift. I am Ryan Garland, your host. I am here with Dennis Roberts. We're in East Tennessee at our ranch, having some cigars. Just got done shooting, kind of getting our adrenaline up, and really the whole point to this is just to kind of introduce you to him and, show you guys who it is that's overseeing all of our projects and kind of understand a little bit more about his skill set, and also see the camaraderie and the relationship that we built and how important that is to move forward in any business or any project or company that's trying to expand and move into, bigger and better places down the road. So Dennis, thanks for coming, buddy.
It's my pleasure. This has been amazing.
Well, you grew up on a ranch.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about where you're from and how this kind of feels like home for you.
Yeah, I was raised mostly in Colorado, mostly in Grand Junction, Colorado. My family had ranches in Ridgeway and Montrose and now Olathe, and spent every summer basically on the ranch.
Good. I love it.
Yeah.
And so this feels like home.
Yeah.
It's a little bit colder there though, right?
A lot colder, But we've had some exceptional weather this weekend.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't really invite that many people here. And I had to get you out here, not only because I knew how you were raised, but I also, our relationship is monetized into kind of a lifelong partnership, I think.
It is.
And I just really appreciate everything you've done for me.
I
really have, man.
Yeah.
Especially for Paradyme. And obviously we were introduced by Eric and our broker, and he's just been a stud in all the projects that he's representing for us. And, really, here in East Tennessee, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm very close to my mom now. My mom left years and years ago and didn't have a relationship with her for many years. And so, I searched her out about 6 years ago, found her, and kind of rekindled a relationship that, we didn't have obviously for 25 years.
Yeah.
And now having the ability to, I would say, establish a relationship with her, it's all that time that went by that I don't feel like it's a waste anymore, because I've been able to establish that relationship. And then I found, since I'm a real estate nerd, I was just kind of coming out to spend time with her, and I started looking around and I just fell in love with this place.
Yeah.
And I just realized why she's here. And I just feel like my heart's here. So every time I'm here, I'm at peace, and, I'm able to kind of it's biblical, right? You kind of have to have a day of rest.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. I come out here, I I'd say restart and rejuvenate and, kind of recalibrate for all the things that I have going on my plate. And that's really the whole point for us to come out and just spend some time together. But, with that said, tell me a little bit about, your background in construction. How did you get to where you are today, a little bit about your education, and then getting into Havasu and what you've done in Havasu.
Yeah, I grew up mostly in a construction family, concrete, and spent years and years and years basically finishing concrete, busting a rebar, being the kid in the yard, the yard bitch. And we moved the company from Colorado to Arizona in 85 and spent from 85 to 89 in Phoenix, basically finishing concrete. 89, got an opportunity to go for an interview with a consultant company that specializes in the science of concrete, soils, asphalt, construction materials, and geotechnical engineering. Really kind of just fell in love with that entire industry and didn't realize it at the time, but I had a real knack for that.
Yeah.
And they mentored me fabulously. I got to be with some of the greatest engineering minds in construction materials. Absolutely stunning, amazing people. And over the next 25 years with that company, I gained an education that I would never have gotten otherwise. Worked my way up in that company to manager and principal, and ended up in Lake Havasu. Got relocated here in '96, and the rest is kind of just a mishmash of being in that industry until my wife got into real estate. Then I followed her into real estate, started dabbling in construction at that point from a general contracting standpoint, got my license, and then you and I meet on a golf course one day. And
We didn't even talk business.
No, we didn't. We talked about our lives. It was an amazing conversation. And I remember going home that day going, I just met an amazing guy.
Oh,
and you called me probably 7-8 months later, and you said, I'll never forget the conversation. You said, I've not forgotten you. And would you like to partner with us on this project, Paradyme Storage?
Yeah.
And I was like, I think we can talk about that.
Yeah.
And a couple months later, I'm your general contractor.
And boom, we're here now.
Yeah.
Right? I love it. Yeah. So that was a sticky place for me. I remember vividly kind of what position we were stuck in.
Yeah.
And, you were highly recommended and you have a great reputation. Everybody loves you. You're the nice guy. I'm the bad guy now is what's happening. And that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But, everyone was just talking highly about you, your knowledge base. Obviously you have a lot of other projects going on or were. And I just kind of looked at your caliber of work and kind of the way you handle things. And I'm like, he's perfect fit because at the end of the day, where I judge a lot of people is, through hardship. That's why I really appreciated, a meeting on the golf course is because we talked really about our hardships.
That's all
first.
we talked about. Yeah. I was going through really 2 years of kind of hell, relationships that were failing. And we talked about our children. We talked about our marriages. And most importantly, we talked about our faith. And we talked about really where we wanted to be as men and in business, where we wanted to be.
Well,
that was amazing.
Let's go there for a second because I wasn't planning on it, to be honest. But I think it's really important that people get to kind of know really the depth of our relationship. And, everyone sees me as, a husband, a father. But if you really watch me, I'm not at home as much as I wish I could be. And I know most people or most men kind of, build their businesses and build their careers really in mind of giving to their loved ones and their kids or what have you. But you get caught up into the day to day and you make big commitments and then you really kind of can't backpedal, right? Because you have a lot of people that are relying on you. And so for me, when you and I were talking and you were talking about kind of your hardships and what you went through and some of the regrets that you had and, you as a father and as a husband, I can relate. And it was one of those things where you were at a point where you knew exactly what transpired, where I think a lot of people just sit back and go, oh, I didn't have the best, opportunity or poor me or what have you. You were like, no, this is my fault. This is what I did wrong. And this is who I am. And this is and I think there's so much respect for that. I think anybody that has also been through a lot, when you can see someone that's like just honest with themselves, and then what you're doing is you're going to attract those type of people though. Yeah. By not having that kind of energy that you're putting out, trying to show off or say that you're something that you're not, you're naturally going to bring in the people that are going to be like you. Right. Yeah. And that's what I really appreciated about you. And I knew that you'd be a great leader, especially when I'm looking at delegating something that's really important, because without you at spearheading what we're doing, whoever's in that slot it's serious. It's not a small operation by any means. This is hundreds of millions of dollars in projects that you're overseeing, and you have to be a very well-rounded man. Yeah. You need to be able to understand emotions. You need to not know how to, you can't lash out. You can't make decisions on the fly. Because we were just talking about this last night. We wake up every morning knowing that every decision in one day everything can tank based on one decision. And that's a lot of weight to carry. A lot of people don't understand that, I think. Yeah.
And we had a rough morning yesterday, right? And how you handle those really tough moments is everything. We're surrounded by people who really are just watching us and waiting for us to make a good decision. And
or fail.
Yeah, or fail. And they're looking at us for good leadership. They're looking at us for making those good decisions. You don't get a lot of opportunities to think for a long period of time before you just say, okay, this is the direction we're going. Once you do that, you have to be pretty sure of yourself. Yeah. We've done that, and I think we're succeeding because of it.
Well, in a very short period of time, we've been tested a lot. Yeah. And to be candid with you, I feel like it's a little bit more downhill because a lot of the infrastructure is in place, understanding how each other works now in place. Those are usually the harder parts. But now that you've come in and got rid of all the bad juju, right? You now have a very clear path moving forward on all of our projects. So I think you've got a handle on it, but it's true. I mean, you get a phone call in the morning, you're like, wait, what just happened?
Right.
And then I also, one thing I like to think that I do well is I know when to stay in my lane and when to get involved. And that's why I just let you kind of handle it.
Right.
I didn't need to say anything. I knew you had it handled, but that's why I brought you on, is because I trust you to make the right decisions. I don't have to always oversee it or worry or what have you. And then that really does, when it correlates to our clients and our investors, they see that, okay, it's not just me that's overseeing all these projects. There's other people that have a better skill set that are in this department that are better than I am. Right. Yeah. And so that's really the whole point to having someone at your caliber in that slot, is just to make sure that decisions are made, but based off of experience. This isn't just because you had a feeling.
Right.
This is, it because you have the experience.
Yeah. Like we were talking about last night, it takes years and years and years to get to a position where you're very comfortable and confident in yourself. Then you have to find somebody who also has that same faith, who has that trust factor, and that who you can trust also, because every decision I make has an impact on you. Every decision you make has an impact on me. As we go forward, not only day to day, but as we go forward, we just have to be able to trust each other completely. And I think that's where our relationship's a little bit unusual. Knowing you now for a couple of years has developed in me a trust in not only you as a leader, but as a friend, that I don't have to question that.
Yeah.
And where we disagree, and then we move forward again.
And that's where I think, that right there is the secret to really a successful business.
Yeah.
Is when you have people that you can truly trust and delegate, and not worry that they're doing something behind your back or trying to take your clients or what have you. And there's so much of that goes on, and it's so low level. And really what it comes down to, it comes from a place of desperation. It comes from a place of people of fear and desperation, because people have been hurt by others. And so they just operate in a certain way. Yeah. But we've been able to, and it took a long time, don't get me wrong. It's not like this. And there's still people that linger. But when you find people that really have, what it is? If you look at everybody that's in our company, if you listen to their story or their testimony, they're tired of having to fight like that. They want people around them that are just honest and real, and can communicate well, and are professional and have experience. And so you'll even see how they handle their personal life. They don't have friends that aren't holding themselves to that caliber either. Right? Their family as well. So I'll use Brianna as an example. Brianna's choice of friends are all very similar to her. They're business oriented. They're executives in companies. They've earned their keep. Those type of things. But you look at everybody in our company, they're all that same way.
Right.
It's the people that are going out and partying and drinking and, making bad decisions, or just new to the business or whatever. They got to go through the steps to find out who they are, so that way they can show up properly for the right people that are actually going to trust in them. It's probably the best way to put it.
Well, it's true. And it's not just a lifestyle. I mean, it's a commitment that you make to yourself, that you're going to conduct yourself in a way that's going to attract other people that are like you, right? And that help build you up, help you make you a better person. The people that we surround ourselves with are the people that we want to be like, and that we know we'll feed off of, and just we'll have a better company because of it.
And I think, we got some really good people. We're adding, as you know, we're adding more people, and that's pretty rare too, to show growth inside a market that people are really scared. But there is a lot of positive feedback. Like I just posted something about Goldman Sachs having the best quarter that they've ever had, and I think it's like 30% projected growth, faster than they expected. And it's all these things. But when you look at their investment strategy, you understand why. It's the writing's on the wall. In many ways, we're positioned well. What I tell everybody is that the market went from, prior to the pandemic, very diverse, and you can make money in every direction. The pandemic, obviously, there's a lot of hardship, like office and so forth, but it really took and zoned in on only very, very specific asset classes that are going to do well. And then it allows you to look at the data, spending habits, and people migrating that direction. And so when you have that much demand, the likelihood of the investment
Right.
as well. But that also kind of navigates into the type of people that you need to hire with inside your company, because that's where the world's going and what have you, or the company's growing towards. And so I just kind of have this belief that really the Lord's kind of given us the right intuition and continuing to bring the right people to the table to continue to grow the company in the right direction. But we're also getting good projects. I mean,
Right.
the barn caves, is, I mean, I don't think I've ever, and of course I'm biased, right? But I don't think I've ever seen a project besides maybe some big sports park or something, or like the Raiders Stadium, that was just so awesome to talk about and
Yeah.
see, that has turned into just a movement in itself.
Yeah.
And even us going into more of the manufacturing side, which I want to talk to you about, it seems to be, a big movement. But again, it kind of marries up between affordability, speed of development, less trades, the list goes on, once we are able to come up with the manufacturing side of it. But I think that project is going to be a game changer.
Well, I
for
mean,
the entire steel building industry.
The interest we've already received from it, and we don't have a product yet.
Mm-mm.
I mean, we're going to have a product very soon, but we just have a design, and we have thrown that out there and said, "Hey, people, what do you think of this?" The response on that is insane. I mean, we were talking the other day. I mean, if everybody was a buyer who just says, "I want it right now," we'd need 4 or 5 of these projects, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a game changer by itself.
And that's not including people that are going, "Hey, Ryan, where can I buy your
Right.
floor plans?
Yeah.
Buy these and drop them
Yeah.
off," whether it's a lot somewhere like this in the country,
Yeah.
or if it's a guy who wants to be, that's a builder that does this for a living and wants to pop these up into a high dense, more primary market.
And the challenge of that is daunting.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. I mean, you bring risk into the equation that you don't have to normally think about.
Mm-hmm.
How do I send somebody a product that doesn't have a background in erecting that product, and then give them some directions to be able to erect it safely and ultimately end up with what they want? Whole nother level. It's fascinating that we are already as far as we are.
Well, to get deeper into it, I mean, all the way down to, my uncle is one of the owners and presidents of Standard Pacific, left there, went to, Irvine Company, Western National, built tons of apartments, 33,000 doors, I believe, Western National built for him. And then he went to Holland Partners, was president for construction for high rises, and then left there and now has a construction defect legal, firm in essence. And so, bringing him in, he goes, "Ryan, the most important thing is being able to engineer these buildings and design these buildings in a way when you deliver them, you're not going to have defect issues for litigation."
Right.
So by being able to come into it even from that level, I don't think people quite understand how much really goes into this.
Oh,
but it's a lot of energy. I mean, my entire business, has really kind of shifted for me into that. So it's like capital raising, legal, compliance, so forth. But my focus really is building this product, and we're so pregnant, on the design and what we've spent so far, and going to engineering now, and we have a pretty good product, but we are looking at mass production and all the way down to, like, let's talk about manufacturing and the issues of manufacturing as well.
Yeah.
We're looking at certain policies depending on who gets into office. That's going to help even with taxes for overtime and bringing back manufacturing. And that, so there's a bolt on to the firm that a lot of people don't know about. But not only are we going to be able to bring down our costs, we're thinking our costs are going to come down for the building almost 50%, according to my conversations with Ryan.
Right.
But the speed, let's talk about speed alone. I mean, look at the issues that we're dealing with materials right now with Paradyme Storage or Boathouse or all the other projects. Being able to have manufacturing literally in our backyard and control that, we literally are able to build a whole lot faster, pump these out a lot faster. And in fact, my pro forma is extremely conservative, not considering the speed in which we could possibly build these things.
Exactly. And then the other side of that is the quality standard. I mean, we'll be able to control that. And when you can control quality, manufacturing speed, and delivery, you've got the package.
And when it comes to, like, let's talk about like engineering. Who was it I was talking to the other day? I think it was Tiffany. She was telling me that there's only like 7,000 superintendents right now in the country.
Really?
There's not that many. And so there's a need for, of course, we could talk about labor all day, that issue. We can talk
That's a big
about being
problem.
in Havasu and we're being kind of so far out of the outskirts trying to find the right laborers and trades. You know, the list kind of goes on, but it does pollinate for the most part onto every aspect of the construction business. You know, but being able to manufacture our own stuff is really going to allow us to mitigate that all the way down to the way we manage our capital. Like, for example, switchgear. You know, having Nick go out and front load and get a lot of switchgear up front for a lot of our buildings that are coming up.
Yeah.
You know, being able to, you know, have the capital to do that is also different than a lot of other operators because they're financing the majority of this stuff. And if you don't communicate with your lender early on and what you need to pay for up front and deposits for certain materials, you're going to be behind on everything. And I'm watching it happen. I manage a $100 million debt fund now. I'm watching these borrowers get crippled by material bottlenecks.
Yeah.
So I think just and there's so many more details, but it's really those type of things that we are implementing, but you cannot implement it until you've gone through it and you've dealt with it. Right. So I think we're on the right track, in my opinion.
Yeah. Just what we went through on a small scale for materials, right? Material shortage, switchgear shortage. What we've just gone through is nothing compared to what we're getting ready to get into. Yep. So controlling that, making that a system that we not only engineer, control the quality of it, and then control the production speed of it will change everything.
I think builders, you know, you're starting to see, you know, a lot of these builders and larger, like Lennar's, KB, Pulte Homes, a lot of guys, you'll see some of these guys retiring out as old school supers. And you're kind of hearing those conversations, and I'm very fortunate to circle around, you know, be around those type of circles. And they're telling you it's just getting harder and harder. It's not easy. Yeah. It's not as easy as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. Everything about the industry, it's getting more regulated. It's, you know, there's less manufacturing. There's, you know, with the low interest rates and the spike in development, it's been more problematic. Timelines are blown. List kind of goes on. And I think, you know, clients, developers, subs, everybody needs to be tied to groups that are very forward thinking and extremely innovative, but really knows enough about the industry to have a lot of good professionals with track records that are sitting on the board or advisory side that are really kind of help, you know, mitigate all that stuff. And that's really what I'm seeing. So you're seeing firms like mine, you'll start looking at their pitch decks, or you'll start looking at their company brochures online, what have you, and you're seeing that they're bringing in a larger advisory board to help with all of this. And if people are not watching that inside the firms, they're missing a very important component of longevity, sustainability, consistency. Right. And it's those type of things that I'm trying to teach people how to navigate which firms to invest into. And those are the things that you're seeing. So you're going to start seeing me bring on a big CFO. Right. You've met him.
Yep.
You know, you're seeing larger investors, larger architects, a lot larger players kind of come to the forefront that we are going to, you know, ask for their experience to navigate, help us navigate.
And that's really plays in well with my experience, because all the years I spent dealing with large architects, larger engineering firms, even larger contractors, it really starts getting into where I'm most comfortable.
Yep.
When you start very small projects, you have very little room. Mm-hmm. You know, the space gets really small. Minor changes cost huge amounts of money. The bigger the projects, the greater the presence of the engineers and the groups that are involved in it. They just go smoother. It just goes better.
It's so true. Yeah, I think ultimately we're on the right track. I really wanted people to kind of see, you know, the dynamic of mine and your relationship.
Yeah.
And that's really important because, you know, for example, when you're talking to a lot of investors, there's really a few questions that people ask. One is, you know, how long has your executive team been together? How long have you been established? What's your track record in essence? Two, who are your department heads? What's their track record? What are the relationships and dynamics? And what happens if you die?
Yeah.
Who takes over?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
It's a big question. True.
And so those are the things that I'm trying to highlight and teach people, that these are the things that are very important. What happens if I go through a divorce? What's that mean?
Right.
What, you know, those are the things that people aren't really, they don't pay attention to unless you have big attorneys that are going to start, getting involved. These are the educational pieces that I'm trying to highlight through this podcast, that people need to really pay attention to, because it's the culture one. We were talking about this today too. Having a good culture within the company, it's the dynamics and the relationships that are established, because when times get tough, you need people to pull together, not separate and fight. That is important. And so by you and I continuing to look, construction doesn't go easy. I've been telling Joe we need to do a reality TV show and just follow you around, and do video of just you, because it's insane what happens on the construction site every single day. And we have a lot of projects, so it's not like it's something smooth every day.
No, it's not. And you don't know what's going to happen every day. I mean, what we had happen yesterday was, again, just something you wouldn't expect. But at the same time, it's not unusual. It's just you don't know when it's going to happen.
And of course, it's when you leave.
Yeah, it's as soon as I get on a plane. Then all
you're supposed to come out here to relax.
Didn't
happen.
All shit hits the fan, and you're standing there going, "Okay, well, we're surrounded by some good people there. They're handling it."
Yeah.
So.
And it's one of those things you kind of have to take it on the chin. It's life. Never gets easier. Life only gets harder, kind of thing. But you handle it, and you handle it, and but again, it's that downline of everybody handling their position too.
Exactly.
So let's talk about if we decide to migrate to Ozarks, if we go into barn caves, do you think that you can handle it, or do you think you need to bring on more? Let's just call it bodies to oversee.
Well, sure. I mean, talking about superintendents again. I mean, that's just the reality of projects, right? Every project, you have to have enough bodies on it to make sure that everything's going well on a day-to-day basis. From a management standpoint, it doesn't take that many bodies. You need the superintendents.
Good back office.
Yeah, we got a good back office. And then, my experience from a management standpoint, a lot of capacity. So, yes, it's going to take a few more bodies, but it's not going to take hundreds of people.
Yeah.
We'll be able to handle it.
And we were just talking about earlier too, our firm is ran, we have a lot more attorneys. So like, for example, we pay more money a year in legal fees than I do salaries.
Yeah.
And it's simply because we have, 4 SEC attorneys. I have, Markham, which is also a tax, law firm that's, deals with hedge funds, pension funds, public companies, what have you. They're big, go to New York. We got MGO, CPA. We got all of these law firms that are overseeing all of our stuff, which is really, truly the smartest way to go. But even from day-to-day management, we would typically be 3 times the size that we are.
Completely.
And that's not even considered the construction side. That's just back office on the private equity side. So we all have a lot of hats, but what's nice is through systems, and this is that forward-facing, forward-thinking, through systems we can, and practices and procedures is where we can actually start mitigating how many people and bodies have to really come on, keeping our overhead low, having the longevity, all that stuff matters. So when people are really managing or looking at investing into firms or projects, all of those things really do matter.
Right.
How long has that person been with you? Like, for example, obviously one of the reasons why people love the barn caves is because I have Paradyme Storage right next door.
Right.
They're like, you guys definitely know what you're doing. You're on the street building something equivalent, right?
Yeah.
So the
gym, barn caves. Yeah, it's all right there.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, let's talk about the gym. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for that? Because that thing is great. Yeah. When can we actually start moving dirt? I know we could.
I'm still
right
thinking
now.
January. I think that's going to be our best time. We're waiting for some overlays, waiting for some finals from a flood zone standpoint. But yeah, I
when do you call Jamie?
Yeah, I think Jamie.
Jamie, where we at?
Yeah.
Jamie will give us a heads up.
Yeah.
Give us what we need.
We're right there.
Yeah, for sure. So
that'll move much more quickly than I think some of the other projects will, because again, it's a tight project. It's right there. We understand the vertical aspect of it really well. It'll go quick.
Not only that, we got, I mean, shoot, dude, we're in engineering now with that building, and it's really a box.
Yeah. No, it's
nothing
nothing special.
Pool.
Yeah, it's nothing special from the standpoint of the structure itself. It's basic.
In the building.
The structure is pretty basic. It's got a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And the more technical it becomes from an electrical and plumbing standpoint, those are big moving parts. The rest of it, not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Not too bad.
But it just looks cool.
It's going to look great.
Now it's about operating it right.
Yeah.
And that's what we're excited about too, to be honest with you. We got some really good people that are going to come in on the operational side too.
Yeah.
We have some really cool, we have a really cool product. The demand is high. We're watching people's spending habits. Healthcare is a big deal. Health and wellness continues to be a big part of it if you're looking at the data.
Right.
Just a lot of people need, and like you and I both, we're talking about eating right.
Yep.
Besides our cigars.
Yep.
Hey, that's our vice, whatever. But
every once in a while, it's not
you got to have a little bit,
yeah.
right? I don't have cigars that often, by the way. It's usually when I come out here.
But I don't drink and do any of this very often. But if you good 90% of the time, 10% of the time, you can do something.
Yeah, you need a little break loose. But yeah, so with the gym, I think ultimately people are just really want to see that out in that area. I think it's time. The area has it's a little tired with the existing projects that are there as far as gyms. The biggest gym you have in town is Planet Fitness, which is a little dull, to be honest with you. Hey, no, not knocking on any gym, but I think that area calls for more of a private setup. That big public movement gym is just not really the culture for the area. It does well. It's got 12,000 members.
Yeah.
So it's generating money. I mean, I'm looking at that data.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see when this gym pops up, people are going to want to be there more, so having an area where people can go and kind of lounge out and pop up their laptops, work. If a lot of people travel there, right? So come in for the weekends, what have you, they can go. If it's too hot, they want to be on the water, then go to the gym and pop up their laptop. I do. Every time I'm traveling, I'm going finding an LA Fitness or a Lifetime Fitness.
Yeah.
I go work out. I stay there. I take a shower. I take all my stuff, and I kind of get ready for the day. Go from there to a meeting or
half
what
the
have
time
you.
I call you, you're at the gym.
Pretty much. I'm on half my conference calls. Probably every Monday conference meeting with the team. I'm at the gym.
Yep.
Yeah, and I try to fit it in whenever I can. But it's really important for me. It's been probably one of the most important things for me in my life, because even in 2008. Is when I was able to survive because of the relationships I built at the gym.
Yeah.
I would find a deal here to kind of keep me alive and feel me, but I was building these relationships. And back in the day when everyone was broke, all you had was the gym, So, I built a lot of relationships there, and it always kind of kept my energy high. And I'm at that point in my life where I kind of need to just feel good and stretch my back. And, but that's that area, it's a retirement community.
Yeah.
People want nice stuff. And so I think ultimately we're going to have amazing equipment that kind of caters to every walks of life, no matter kind of where you are, and that's really the idea, is to build something that's extremely diverse, but dynamic and something that nobody has ever seen in the country. Cause me, I always want to go big.
Go big.
Like, I'm that guy. But at the end of the day, man, I think we're on the right track. And ultimately I'd like to build, 10 more of these over the next 5 or 6 years. I think the run is ultimately 35 locations. That's what we have in our built out pro forma, is our big plan.
Right.
And people ask, can you go public? Because really people when you look at like Lennar, KB, public companies, that's what they did. And we're really just implementing the same practices they did, but just in today's market.
Yeah.
So,
and maybe that's a possibility in the future, but right now concentrate on what we have before us.
And get what we can done.
Get it done.
And manufacturing
too.
too.
And get it done well.
Yeah. So I think we're on the right track, man. So by the way, if there's anything else you want to add to our audience, please share. But other than that, man, I love that you're here. We're sitting here with this running river. And
it's awesome.
Just so peaceful out here.
I love it.
It was hard for me to get you to want to do this because you were so relaxed.
Yeah.
And then it took 30 minutes for Joe to put it together.
That's
why my cigar
It takes
over.
a minute for me to calm down. Yeah, for sure.
It does. Every time I come out here, it takes me at least 2 days.
Yeah.
To finally go, okay, now it's time to relax.
Next time I'll come for
go back to work.
Yeah, exactly.
2 days is your weekend. And
I can't sit around for very long.
No, for sure. Yeah. So, well, thanks for having me, buddy. And you're always welcome. And I'm going to plan on having you out here at least once every month or every other month.
I'd love it.
Just got to get it on the calendar.
Yeah, we got to do it.
So let's do it.
All right.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate the audience that continues to watch and support us. If you guys have any questions, you know how to reach out to us, social media, YouTube, Instagram, website, what have you. And we're on to the next. Thanks, guys.